Hey everybody, Dr. Heldman here. Another quick Tech Talk movie for you. We're still talking about PowerShell, and this is going to be a quick little movie, but I wanted to talk to you about what is called conditional logic, the idea of using a for loop or something like that to make decisions about some data. And PowerShell does include that capability, so I wanted to do just a quick little snippet to show you how that works. So let's get started. It should be interesting and informative. So PowerShell supports the normal coding type apparatus. I guess that's not a good word to use, but it supports things like for loops and if statements and stuff like that, and comments. We'll see both of those here when we're working through this. And we're doing what's called conditional logic. And what we mean is if something is true, do something. If it's not true, do something different. So we're saying include it or don't include it. Now in this case, I'm running PowerShell as admin here. All I did was right-click the icon on my desktop and select Run as Administrator. I'm going to clear the screen with the clear command. And what we're going to do is the first thing we're going to declare a variable called numbers. And I'm going to populate some numbers into this group. So I'm going to put in a -10, a comma, a 5, a comma, a -20, a comma, 15, comma, 0, comma, 17. Excuse me, -7. The reason I'm doing that is because I want to test both for negative, positive numbers and 0. And so I'm going to fill up this little array of numbers with both negative numbers, positive numbers, and I'm going to include a 0 to make sure that I've got everything. So I'll hit enter, and if I just type in numbers like this, we'll see that it does have that data in there. So that's very, very good. So that's all fine. Now you can put a comment in, and in PowerShell a comment is a hashtag. So if we say hashtag, I'm going to put this comment in, use a for each loop to iterate through the numbers and only display positive ones. Okay, now what the heck is a for each? Well, this is weird terminology. So some languages just call it a for loop. Some languages have a command that says for each. And so the idea is that you're going to go through this list of numbers here, -10, 5, and so forth. So it's saying for each number in numbers, do something. That's what we're doing. Now Python's a little bit different. You might say for number in numbers. But the idea is that you're picking out each one of these little slots in the array here, and then you're going to do something with that. And that's what we're doing here. So it uses the for each command. So we're going to say for each, like this. I'm going to put a parentheses in here because I'm going to tell it what I want it to do. And I'm going to say $num in $numbers. And then I'm going to put in 2 curly brackets. Okay, so that's my code there. And what we're doing is we're saying for each, this is a PowerShell command here. And then we're giving it what we want it to operate on for some num in numbers. This is very Python-like. It would be exactly the same way of doing it in Python, except we wouldn't use the for each command. But we're saying for some number, singular, in numbers, plural, do something with that. And the thing that we're going to do is right in the middle of the curlies. Now we're going to introduce an if. If $number is TAC GE0. If that's the case, parentheses. Now GE means greater than or equal to. So this is different. Python has a different way of doing it. Java has a different way of doing it. So it's kind of weird, this GE thing, but it's a TAC GE. It means greater than or equal to 0. So now what it's going to do is it's going to come in and look at any numbers that are 0 or greater. So it'll pick out the 0, the 15, and the 5. And if that's the case, what we want to do is we want to space right output, And the output that we're going to write is going to be num. Okay, so we should have beginning and ending curlies here. Oh, you know what? I forgot to put a curly here in the side the if. So I'm going to put a curly right here as well. Left curly, space. I'll put a space here. And then I'll have a right curly to terminate the if here. And then I'll have another right curly to terminate this entire block here. So the for each num and numbers is a block. And this curly right here is starting the block. And the block is saying if, and then we have another curly, which starts another block, and then we terminate both here. Let's see what it does. Oh, and I picked up an error there. So you can see here it's saying that I'm missing a terminating parentheses after the if. So if, let me take a look at this code and see what I'm doing wrong. Yep, I shouldn't have put that curly there. So let me clear the screen right here. Clear the screen, bring my up arrow up. If this is okay here, and so I put it in the wrong place. I should put it right here. It should be, this is where the block actually starts, and that does make sense if you look at it. I can put some spaces in here to make it look a little bit better, although the ending curly moves down at one line, but that's okay. For each num and numbers, curly, left curly, if this test, this is called a test or a condition. If this test passes, write the output, left and right curlies, and I could put another curly there if I wanted to just make the spacing a little better. So this terminates that if, and then this terminates this for each. So you've got to be real careful with this. C++, C languages, Java use these curlies. I think JavaScript does as well. Python does not. Python doesn't use curlies, so you're going to have to just get used to it. And if you get one of these curlies out of balance, you're going to run into a problem. So I'll hit enter. Boom. Beautiful. We love that when a plan comes together. Now, could you write this in as a script, like in a little notepad file, and then execute it that way? Absolutely. You absolutely could. But what it's doing, in this case, what I'm trying to do is give you the idea of how this conditional logic works. We're saying we've got a num in an array of numbers, and if the num is greater than or equal to 0, this tack might throw you off because you might think it's minus, and it's not. If it's greater than or equal to 0, write the output num, and so it writes the output. Now there is one other way that we can do that, and if we hit the up arrow again and we say rather than greater than or equal to, if we said GT, then what it's going to do is rule out the 0. And so now it only gives us the 5 and the 15. Voila, that's not too hard, is it? So I just wanted to give you a feel for how conditional logic and if statements work in PowerShell. Please be aware that you can write PowerShell scripts and have them executing. And this is called DevOps, guys. So DevOps is a big thing where people are writing code that does a lot of big jobs for us, and they're using PowerShell for this. They can use Bash for this. So this is pretty cool. So I hope you enjoy this, and I'll talk to you in the next movie. Have a great day. And please, you know what? If you consider it, please consider liking my movies, subscribing, drop off a comment. I would love it. I'm getting some comments. I love that. Thank you very much. I'll talk to you in the next movie. Bye-bye.